She walked into the bank. She built her name, etched on the glass doors, her picture hanging proudly in the lobby. But the moment she stepped up to the counter, the stares began. The whispers, the disbelief that she could be the owner. Within minutes, the place she once called her triumph turned into a stage for her humiliation. But what no one knew was that this moment would be the beginning of a reckoning. Because sometimes the people you underestimate are the ones who change everything. What happened inside that bank that left everyone speechless? Alicia Carter had worked her entire life to get here. From a cramped apartment on the south side to the corner office of one of the city's biggest banks, her story was the definition of perseverance. Every morning, she arrived before the lights turned on, greeting the security guard with a smile, her coffee in one hand and a stack of files in the other. The staff admired her discipline, though few knew the battles she'd fought to earn their respect. To her, the bank wasn't just a business. It was proof that talent and determination could rise above prejudice. She'd poured everything into it, determined to show that a black woman could lead with power and grace in an industry that rarely made space for either. That morning felt no different, at least at first. She had an investor meeting to finalize, a new branch opening to plan, and 1,000 details to manage. But beneath the routine hum of the office, something felt off. The receptionist avoided her gaze. Two men in tailored suits whispered as she passed. Alicia brushed it off. She'd dealt with worse. But this time, the storm wasn't behind her. It was waiting right inside the doors of her own success. Alicia had always believed that professionalism could silence prejudice. But that belief started to crack the moment she walked into her own branch that morning. The lobby was unusually quiet. A new security guard, unfamiliar and stiff, watched her like she didn't belong. Alicia nodded politely, but he didn't move to greet her. Instead, he eyed her badge and muttered something into his radio. She brushed it off. She had a board meeting to lead, numbers to present, a team to motivate. But as she approached the conference room, she caught snippets of conversation through the glass doors. Can't be her. The CEO's not, you know. A pause, then laughter low, sharp, cutting. Her assistant froze when Alicia entered, pretending to shuffle papers. The men at the table went silent. One of them, a visiting investor, looked her up and down and said, almost casually, "Oh, I thought you were here to serve coffee." The words hit harder than she expected. Alicia smiled, the kind of tight smile that hides 1,000 unsaid things. "No," she said softly. "I'm the one who signs your checks." A few awkward chuckles followed, but the damage was done. The energy in the room had shifted suspicion where there once was respect. And when she began her presentation, every word felt heavier, every silence louder. Halfway through, a security guard entered the room and whispered to the branch manager. His eyes darted to Alicia. Then came the question that froze the air. "Ma'am," the guard said, "we need to verify your credentials. Someone reported a suspicious individual claiming to be the CEO." Laughter. Real laughter this time. Alicia felt heat rise in her chest. "You're mistaken," she said, her voice steady. "You can call corporate if you need proof." But the guard was already reaching for her ID. The investors watched with quiet fascination, some amused, others uncomfortable, none intervening. For a moment, Alicia wanted to walk away, to let the weight of their ignorance crush itself. But something in her refused. Years of being underestimated had taught her one thing: silence only feeds their power. She handed over her badge, eyes locked on the manager. "Go ahead," she said. "Call whoever you need." Minutes felt like hours. The guard's radio crackled, static filling the room. Then came the voice. "Confirmed. That's Miss Carter. She owns the building." The guard's face turned pale. He mumbled an apology. The investors shifted in their seats. Alicia said nothing. She just stood there, calm and deliberate, gathering her files. "Gentlemen," she said finally. "Thank you for your time. We'll reschedule when professionalism returns to this table." As she walked out, the whispers returned, but this time they carried something different. Fear. She didn't know it yet, but that humiliation would ignite something far greater than their doubt. Because when the meeting ended, Alicia didn't go home. She went to work on a plan that would turn her own bank upside down. That night, the bank's marble floors gleamed under cold fluorescent lights. The offices were empty, but Alicia stayed behind alone, replaying every second of that meeting in her head. The laughter, the doubt, the way her name, her ownership had been treated like a lie. But anger, for Alicia, wasn't chaos. It was focus. She opened her laptop and began to type. With every keystroke, she unearthed what she had built, the truth they couldn't deny, the contracts she signed, the staff she promoted, the policies she implemented to make sure no one would face what she did. All of it proof that she didn't just run the bank. She was the bank. The next morning, the same men gathered again, smug and certain the misunderstanding had been forgotten. Cameras flashed in the lobby, press invited by corporate for what they thought was a routine announcement. But Alicia had rewritten the script. She stepped onto the stage, her voice calm, her presence electric. "Yesterday," she began, "I was mistaken for an intruder in my own company, and many of you said nothing." The room went still. She held up a folder. "This," she said, opening it, "is the record of every policy we've ignored, every promotion we've denied, every voice we've silenced because of the color of someone's skin. And starting today, that ends." The investors shifted, whispers turning to panic. Reporters scribbled notes. The cameras caught everything, the tension, the shame, the raw truth that couldn't be spun away. Alicia looked directly into the crowd, her voice unshaking. "You wanted to see proof of who I am? Look around. This building, this success, you're standing in it." For a long, breathless moment, no one spoke. Then the applause started not from the board, but from the staff lining the back wall. It grew louder, stronger, filling the hall with something that felt like justice. But Alicia didn't smile. She knew this was only the beginning. Because exposing the truth was one thing, changing the system that allowed it was another. In the days that followed, Alicia's speech spread far beyond the walls of her bank. The video went viral, shared by employees, community leaders, and strangers who saw themselves in her struggle. Some called her brave, others called her reckless. But Alicia didn't care about titles anymore. What mattered was that the silence had been broken. The board launched an internal review. Policies changed. Training sessions were announced. Yet, Alicia knew it wasn't enough. True change wasn't in statements or apologies. It was in hearts, in systems, in the everyday moments where prejudice still hid behind politeness and procedure. She returned to her office, the same one where she once felt invisible, and looked out over the city. Every window reflected a different story, people trying to prove they belonged, fighting to be seen for who they truly are. She thought of the guard, the laughter, the doubt, and how easily it could have broken her. But instead, it built her. For Alicia, justice didn't come from revenge, it came from reclaiming her power, from standing firm in a world that wanted her to shrink. And maybe that's the real lesson. Racism isn't just the moments that make headlines, it's the quiet moments of disbelief, of dismissal, of being treated as less than what you've earned. It's in the systems that still decide who gets to belong and who doesn't. Alicia's story ended in triumph, but for so many others, it doesn't. So the question isn't just what she did, it's what we will do. Because every time someone like Alicia stands up, the world gets a little louder, and the excuses a little harder to believe. How many more stories will it take before equality stops being a headline and starts being reality?